Hello. Ugh. Welcome to the TV room. David Bradley here. It is a strange day because, of course, yesterday the Leafs were playing Game 7, and there was much hope and promise after they were down 3-1. But it didn't go well. And it's funny, I remember hearing an interview like decades ago, and I think it was Gordie Howe and somebody were talking about how in their arena they would practice exactly the play that did us in, where one of them would come in and they would, like, during practice, they would practice to see where in the corner that they should fire the puck that would come back out in front of the net. And they wouldn't do this all the time, but as we know, when you just suddenly are down and you're in a critical situation, it's not a bad time to pull out your trick play. Now, um, you also got to look and make sure, is there a possibility? Everything has to fall into place just perfectly. And sadly, it did. And poof, another season is gone. I'm sure it's funny, since the commissioner of the NHL came in, um, maybe the first year he was in, maybe a Canadian team won, but not since then. I think he's quite pleased with that. I think I joke sometimes with my son that the referees have an earpiece in so that Gary Bettman can speak to them about calls and penalties and things and stuff. Is this true? No, I'm sure it's not. But you know. Anyway, it's hard to get going today. It is. And also, sometimes we get things built up in our head that are mental blocks. And it's hard to get going. It's funny, if you just did it right away, it would be fine. It's when you let something sort of sit for a while and fester. It's yeah. Anyway, I have to go and do some things in the basement, which is at times very exciting because I find things down there. For example, I just found a couple of monitors, a couple of 1084S's that I brought up, and I have to test them. But I suspect they're in pretty fine shape. Maybe a little yellowed. I'm not sure. And I'm sure there'll be other things. And there's all kinds of stuff. Because when we moved, I really didn't have time to go through things properly. I know there's, oh, oh, hundreds of boxes to go through. But I can't do that now. I have to deal with a bit of a mess that popped up down there and make sure that the mess isn't going to continue. And I've been meaning, now we're into the beginning of May. I first went down there to deal with the trouble around October. I thought, oh yeah, well, I'll just work away at this little by little by little. And I did some in October. And then I pretty much haven't been back there. Now, a lot has happened in that time. A lot of things have changed. So, it's understandable. But I really just got to go down there and do a little bit, and do a little bit, do a little bit, and get her done. So I would suspect that all of you out there have something that you've been meaning to do that you have not done, but you have been thinking about doing. So I hope that maybe, possibly, me getting myself together and actually heading to the basement to attack some of what needs to be attacked will help inspire you to just, as Nike would say, just do it. Just go and do it. Whatever it is, have a look, assess, figure out what you need, and go for it. And yes, there are things that I will probably need to finish this off, but if I don't look and I don't assess and I don't sort of do the figuring, I'll never know. and I can't plan. I just dread the possibility of going back to the basement. Yes, that's no fun. Anyway, um, yes. So the other thing is, see, I was pondering that in the whole bunch of pets that I have been looking at, there's one I don't think I found yet. Because at one point I did meet up with a fellow and I got a pet from him, and it had all these, like on the universal board for the 4032 and the 8032, there are these jumper things that need to be done. And he had it modified. So instead of having just wires across, it had these big prongs. And the machine didn't come alive and it didn't work. And it didn't seem there were any jumpers on there, which I was like, interesting that. But it was modified to be able to swap between the two somehow, some way. And, as from what I can remember, I don't think I ever saw that one in the gathering. I don't think so. It is possible that I didn't look into it and that maybe I sort of put things together on a pile to get the pile going, to get everything done before I, I looked inside. I don't remember. Anyway, so there could be another pet. I know there's other stuff down there. I know it. What else is down there? I don't know. I mean, the one thing I want to find is my glorious soldering iron that has many heads and many bits to remove chips with, where you just put the thing down on the chip, lay it on the one side, it heats up everything, you gently pry, the chip comes out halfway, put it on the other side, you wait a few seconds, you gently pry, and it's done. Somewhere that's got to be in a box down there. It's got to be. Anyway, I have much to do, and even just by doing this, I'm putting off doing it. But I did do some yesterday, and right now it's time for me to put this phone back on the charger and perhaps grab a couple of other boxes, because some boxes need to be replaced down there. And as they say in Texas, get her done. It's time to get her done. Get her done. Get her done. So I think I will do that. It's funny, I look down the end of the table here. I have a bunch of the chips from a machine I brought up to work on this other machine sitting here, and I've got them all sitting there very careful. And it's all dandy and it's all fine. It's all, just wonderful. I'm just hoping that I don't accidentally knock them down or Penny doesn't come. What I maybe will do when I'm in the basement, I'll maybe see if somewhere down there I have a piece of styrofoam or some other kind of thing that I can find that I can stick them in and then set them aside. See, I've got them in the configuration at which they came out, which makes it easier not to screw up putting them back in. That is the plan. Anyway, and once again, thanks for coming to the TV room. And I hope if there's something you really need to get going on, that maybe you can think of me in the basement and say, you know what, I can do this. Get her done. Get her done. At least get her started. Because every journey, no matter how long it is, must begin with one step. And it doesn't have to be a big step. One small step to get momentum. That is what I need. Momentum. And funny, back to the Leafs, they had momentum. But with the talent we have, we shouldn't be getting into these games where we're in tight and heading to overtime and other things. Our talent, our big four who can't score, sorry, they can when the playoffs come. They They can't. Why? Because other teams do what they're supposed to do. They make adjustments and adaptations to make sure that they can't. And they're very good at it seems, especially Boston. But anyway, it does seem that there is some, and I said this last year. I don't know if I recorded it, but I said this last year. The Raptors won the championship by being gutsy enough to send DeMar DeRozan away and getting Kawhi Leonard. And had Kawhi been courageous enough to stay in Toronto, I suspect there would have been more championships because more people would have stayed. I believe there would have been much motivation to keep that group together. But it didn't happen. And he left town. He has not won another championship. I think, and he was suffering with injury things. In Toronto, when he was here, we managed them. We did. Anyway, we had momentum. We had chemistry. We had great things happening. It was beautiful. Especially his 4-bounce shot on the rim to close out that magical game as he lay on the floor watching. And the whole country held their breath. Oh well, momentum. So I am going to build some momentum by grabbing a couple of boxes, and heading to the basement. Thanks for coming. Time to get her done. Bye for now.